This call is now being recorded. So, good evening, everyone. So, this is the third session in the Tech Talk series, which is initiative of Ahalia School of Engineering and Technology in association with NSS Unit, UBA, NDLI Club, ASET, IQAC, Institutions Innovation Council, IEDC, IEEE, and also the Ahalia Astronomy Club. So this is kind of these sessions are actually intended to get us all think, or maybe to just to ignite our critical thinking, or what we call as be rational about topics or things that is going around us. And we are so happy that every Tuesday we are conducting these sessions. And now I welcome Professor Dhanesh, who is the coordinator of Ahalia Astronomy Club, to offer the welcome address. Dhanesh, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Audible.
Yes,
No
sir,
problem.
you are, yes.
Yeah. So, a warm welcome Tech Talk series. Today, the topic is Astronomy Astrology, which has always been an area of interest to different sections of society. So, on behalf of Ahalia School of Engineering Technology, I would like to welcome a distinguished resource person, Dr. P.R. Sri Mahadam Pillai, Principal, Ahalia School of Engineering Technology for session. Welcome, sir. I would like to welcome the heads of various departments who have found their time to attend this session. Welcome you all. And last but not least, I'd also like to extend my sincere welcome to all the participants from various sections of society who have found a valuable time to attend this session. Welcome you all. So, once again, on behalf of ASET, I welcome you all for session. Welcome.
Thank you, Dhanesh, sir. Now I invite Dr. Balamurugan, the head of the Department of Electronics and Communications Engineering, Ahalia School of Engineering and Technology, to offer the presidential address. Balamurugan, sir?
Very good evening to all. Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir, you are, yes.
Yeah. A very good evening to all. I'm so happy because our Ahalia School of Engineering and Technology is organizing lot of technical talks on emerging areas. Today we are going to hear such one of the talk is actually on the topic of astronomy and astrology. The resource person of our today's topic is Dr. Sri Mahadevan Pillai, Principal, Ahalia School of Engineering and Technology and Director Academics. Actually, before going to the session, I would like to mention few things on astrology. In India, there is more belief in astrology, especially if you go for marriage life, particularly concerning about the career and other things. So people used to believe in astrology, including Indian politics also. A lot of astrology is influencing. If you see these last elections in Tamil Nadu especially, M.K. Stalin is actually the present chief minister of Tamil Nadu. Most of the astrologers actually predicted that he cannot come to the power. He could not able to win the elections. So in his astrology, there is no scope for winning the elections and he will become the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. So such a predictions, a lot of predictions going on, including the Indian politics. Especially the astrology has not demonstrated its effectiveness in controlled studies and has no scientific validity also. So I don't believe in astrology, right? So if you go for the most of the people in India and including the Chinese having more belief in astrology. If you come to astronomy, which is actually the study of everything in the universe beyond the Earth's atmosphere, that actually includes we can see our eyes like sun, moon, planets, and stars. That objects include we can only see with the telescopes or other instruments, like faraway galaxies and tiny particles also. Basically, if you see here, the astrologers usually have only a small knowledge about astronomy, and often they do not take any account of basic principles such as the precision of equinoxes, which changes the position of the sun with time. So I believe that participating this webinar will be able to direct us in the right direction. Together, we can accelerate the exchange of knowledges and scaling up of good practices also. So I am confident that we can able to find new ideas and novel directions in support of the science and technology, including the innovations. Finally, I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Balamurugan sir. Now, let us listen to our resource person, Dr. Piyashri Mahadevan Pillai, and let us see how these are really connected. Astronomy and astrology are connected and how they are apart from each other. So now, let us listen from you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Very well, sir.
Of course,
Very
of
well.
course.
Okay, so let me show the slide. So my slide is visible now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is the topic for the day, astronomy and astrology. First, I'll be discussing about astronomy and then about astrology. Astronomy is a subject of study for civil engineers. Especially it is a study in the advanced survey portion where we learn about astronomical measurements, space triangle, orbital movements, Polaris, etc., etc. But astrology is something which is very popular and common in general, not only in India, in many of the Western countries also. Some people debate that astrology came from Babylonia, which is the present Kuwait, and some people claim that it originated in India. But I feel that it had a dual origin with two different bases. We will discuss that later. First, I will be discussing about astronomy. Astronomy, as the term indicates, astronomos. Astro means space, outer space. Those who travel to outer space are called as astronauts in the US and as cosmonauts in USSR. So it can be either astronomy or cosmonomy, whatever it is. And nomos stands for regulations or rules. So the rules of the outer space, that is astronomy. So they are what we have studied so far. And truly speaking, man's knowledge of astronomy is very limited. Though we claim to have so much of knowledge in astronomy, many of the things in astronomy are assumptions even. But it is developing as a very reasonable and very important science. So what are basically stars? Stars are, a conglomeration of gas. And all over the cosmos, more than 90% of the gas available is basically hydrogen. It is the lightest gas and it is the easily available gas. In Earth also, hydrogen oxide, H2O, is one of the abundant resource, water. So hydrogen as a gas is the most abundant in the universe. And next comes helium. Helium is the second abundance. Helium is just double the weight of hydrogen. I think those who have studied school chemistry knows that helium, the configuration is double that of hydrogen. Whereas hydrogen is a single atom, normally a molecule with two hydrogen atoms combined, we call as H2. So stars are all gaseous formulations, mostly hydrogen or helium. And there, in all the stars, either there will be nuclear fusion or nuclear fission. And our star, Sun, our own star, is having the nuclear fusion going on there. But many stars may be even fission stars. It depends on which gas is more prominent there, whether hydrogen or helium. And obviously, there have been so many theories how the universe is working. And the most acceptable nowadays is what is called the gravitational theory, which discusses about the strong gravitational force and the weak gravitational force, which has been substantiated by a lot of studies by Albert Einstein. And this is a basic introduction of what is a star. Now, how are these stars formed? We have never seen a star forming because we cannot see. The lifetime of a man is very small, very, very small. Maybe 100 plus years, maybe the highest possible. Whereas the lifetime of a star is in billions of years. For example, the lifetime of sun is around 10 to 20 billion years. Some people say it is 10 billion. 1 billion means 100 crores. Some people say it is 10 billion. Some people say it is going to be 20 billion. And there are also assumptions as to what is the age of the sun. Of course, these are all matters of debate. I will be discussing some of them in the course of my discussion. And stars are assumed to be formed in huge clouds of gas which are called nebulae. So nebulae is the first gas formation from which a star evolved. Sometimes more than one star may evolve from a nebula. One single nebula can give rise to so many stars. It is possible. And obviously, there are charged particles inside these clouds. These clouds are not vapor clouds. They are charged clouds. So their stage is basically plasma stage. It is not the three stages of matter. It's neither liquid, nor gas, nor solid. It is plasma stage mostly. And obviously, the center of the nebula will become harder and denser. And obviously, it can result in condensation of this gaseous cloud, which may ultimately result in a solid-like looking star. But star is never solid. A star is always in gaseous or plasma form. It is not solid. And obviously, there are true stars and virtual stars. Some look like star, some are real stars. In course of our discussion, we'll be seeing these things. And what about the color of the star? You all know one star very well. That is our own sun. Our sun's color, you know that it is almost yellowish. So in the universe, of course, with your color, you know, the star will be either violet or indigo or blue or green or yellow or orange or red or anything in between. But based on its color, we can say what is the surface temperature of that star. A red star will be very, very cool. A red star is normally, the red giant stage is a dying stage. You know that people, when they are very aged, they become cooler and cooler by experience. But a star deteriorates and becomes cooler. So red stars will be mostly either powerless stars or aged stars. Whereas the blue stars are very, very hot. And sun is an yellow star. It's an intermediate type. So the surface temperature of sun will be around 10,000 degrees centigrade, 6,000 to 10,000 degrees centigrade. It's a moderate temperature as far as star is concerned. So it's an yellow star. So based on the distance of the star, this color may not be clearly visible to us. For example, for sun, we know that it is an yellow star. But a faraway star which is, even the sun is 15 crore kilometers from us. So think about the other stars. The next star, Proxima Centauri, is 4.5 light years away from Earth. 4.5 light years means light travels 3 lakhs kilometers per second. So into 60 into 60 into 24 into 365. So many millions and billions of kilometers away from us. So that is the next nearest star. So all the stars which you see on sky are far, far away. You know that if you are seeing a star in the sky, perhaps that light would have started from that star millions of years back. Even before some of the stars which you are seeing now would have formed, even before that light would have started from there, before Earth even formed. That's a reality, because light can travel only 3 lakhs kilometers per second. At that rate, the light which you get right now from one star may be some millions of years old. Even before Earth would have been born, some stars are visible now. So we cannot predict exactly how far is this star is. There are some techniques based on Doppler effect. I will be telling that. But in reality, most of the things we say regarding the distance of the star, the age of the star, the color of the star, these are all very, very relative things. No absolute establishment is not possible in most of the cosmic bodies except Sun. Even in the case of Sun, we know very little. Then how can we know about stars which are far, far away? And then what are constellations? Constellation is a group of stars. In a group of stars, 5 or 6 may be visible to us with the naked eyes. But there will be millions of stars in that group which are not visible to us. So when you are seeing a constellation, a very few, for example, you are seeing a group of people standing at a place from a faraway distance, some 3 or 4 heads may be clearly visible because they are above the others. The other heads may not be visible. Like that, in a constellation, there may be millions of stars. In those stars, only very few we are seeing. And from Earth, normally we identify around 88 constellations. These 88 constellations, we have given names. In Indian system as well as in the Babylonian system, these 88 constellations were given different names. Some of the names I'll be discussing when I come to my next slides. One constellation is like this, the Kuhn constellation. It is having this shape in the sky. This is not that much popular in India, but this constellation is very much popular in India. This is called the Orion Constellation. This is an easy constellation to identify. Orion means a hunter. I think in Greek mythology, Orion means a hunter. The Orion constellation is basically always visible clearly. In my young days, I used to lie down at night on top of the terrace. In my hostel, there is a water tank on terrace. It has got a wide brick wall, 1 foot wide brick wall. I used to lie down on that brick wall and watch the sky many days at night. And this Orion has always attracted me because some 3 stars in Orion are always very bright. Even on slightly cloudy days, you can see it. This Orion, they are equating to this shape. This is the shape. You see here, some 3 stars are very bright in this group. Orion means a hunter. So see how this constellation, they are equating the hunter. A hunter's diagram is given in this sketch. So by these 3 lines, we could easily identify Orion. And one more thing is, those who know the constellation quite well, they can easily identify the pole star by the reference of Orion. For example, many days I have located the pole star seeing the Orion, because Orion, if you just draw a straight line connecting 3 stars in Orion, it ends up in the pole star in the north. But some days pole star may not be visible because pole star is not that much bright, especially from a place like Palakkad, where the latitude is around 10 degree plus. Of course, the pole star may not be that clearly visible always. From a place where the latitude is above 20 degree, pole star will be always clearly visible at night. There are some reasons for that. I'm not going to that. And another constellation is Ursa Major. Ursa Major is the Western name used. In India, we call it as Saptarshi. Saptarshi. In Sanskrit, there are 7 great rishis who are staying at the sky. Mariji, Angaras, Atri, Pulastyan, Pulahan, Kradu, Vasishtan. These are the 7 Saptarshis. They are called Ursa Major. This is roughly the shape. That shape I will show once more clearly. This is how these 7 stars are. You see that bright 7 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And funnily enough, these 2 lines, if you continue straight, it will end up in the pole star, in the Polaris. So Saptarshi was used by Indians widely because Saptarshi is very clearly visible from our sky in India. Many places I have, even when I was staying at Bombay, I used to see Saptarshi very clearly in that sky. 2 years back when I went to UP, one night I was in the outside. I just checked whether Saptarshi was available. Yes, it was. So from everywhere in India, Palakkad, it is very clearly visible. Saptarshi you can easily see. From direction of Saptarshi, you can locate north. This was very much helpful in the olden days when people were not carrying a compass or any instrument like that. Now in your mobile there's a compass. Wherever you are, you can identify which is the direction you are moving. And some people always get confused with the direction because the magnetic system in their brain, it may not work properly in certain areas. And there are certain geographical areas in the earth where the magnetic system of our brain will never work. Such areas have been identified. So we identify the directions based on either our own magnetic system, which we are having in our body, or with respect to the movement of the sun. Of course, the mariners used to use some instruments also, like sextant or some of the instruments I will show you. Old days, compass was not that popular. But sextant was very popular even then. Anyway, we will come across those things. So Ursa Major, or the some British people call it as the Big Bear. So Indians we call it as a Saptarshi. Then there is an Ursa Minor, which is very close to the Ursa Major. Ursa Minor also is helpful to us. They are very close by. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor can be drawn as a continuous shape. I will show that sketch also. It's an extension of that Saptarshi. And Ursa Minor, you see, there are again main 7 stars, and it also can be extended to the Polaris. But the difficulty is Ursa Minor cannot be seen every day. The brightness or the luminous intensity of Ursa Major from Earth is not that clear. If at all the sky is a bit dull, Ursa Major we may not be able to see. And then this is another constellation which is called Gemini in English, and we call in Sanskrit as Ashwini Deva. You would have heard about the twins. There are 2 twin stars here. That is why we call this as the Gemini. Gemini also stands for the word twins in Western language. So this is also very common in India. The Ashwini or Ashwini in Sanskrit is Ashwini. Then Andromeda is very popular in the West because in many of the mythical writings in the West, this Andromeda is discussed. Out of the 88 constellations, I have shown you only very few, just to say that this is how a constellation is taken. And also you see, in the constellation, we may be seeing only some few bright stars, 5 or 6 or 7 or 2 or 3. The remaining will be just behind it. It is there, but visibility is much less. That is why I told, in a constellation, so many stars, thousands or millions of stars may be there depending on the constellation, but we can see very rarely. And compass is an instrument which the astronomers earlier used to locate the direction. Compass always points its north to the magnetic north, not to the geographic north. The geographic north, which is indicated by the Polaris, is the true north, which our sense can identify. Our sense can identify geographic north easily, or else if you don't know the geographic north, you can track the trajectory of sun. The trajectory of sun can be tracked in the forenoon and afternoon, connect it and draw a straight line, and that perpendicular to that line is the true north-south line. So we can identify. So this compass will point to a direction. Now in the northern hemisphere, it is around 23 degrees leftwards. And remember, Over the years, it will reduce. And remember, in the southern hemisphere, this is called declination. If you suspend a magnetic needle, it will take a horizontal tilt and a vertical tilt. Vertical tilt it will not remain horizontal. One side will go down. In the northern hemisphere, the needle will go to the left side, that is called declination, and it will go down. It is called dip. On the southern hemisphere, if you go to Australia, the needle that will be the south pole of the needle. That will go to the other side. That is, instead of left side, it will go to the eastern side there instead of the western side. It will go to the eastern side. That is the left in that part. For the needle, the left in the southern hemisphere is opposite of the left in the northern hemisphere, and then the dip will go up. So this will change over thousands and thousands of years. The declination in the north will change to east, and the dip in the north will change to up. Similarly, on the other side also, even many engineers are not aware of it, because in your lifetime you cannot witness it. It takes so many tens of thousands of years where the declination becomes east declination. Maybe I doubt whether the human species will be there on Earth by the time the west declination changes to the east declination. But it's gradual change in minutes and seconds we can identify by studies over the years. People have recorded the declination dip for around 5,000 years, right from the days when they are observing the sun. So that is available. And of course, by the solar movement, we can mark the declination dip also. And a compass is an instrument which is almost 3,000 years old. I think the Greeks used it first. It was not commonly available in India. Indians had some other systems. Compass came from the West. We were not using it that much. Okay, but later, nowadays we are using it widely. And astrolabe is another instrument which they use for angular measurements. Nowadays we use theodolite or electronic theodolite or space theodolite or demarcated telescope for angular measurements of the space. Earlier, the space triangles were measured with the help of a simple device called astrolabe. It is for around 2000 years it was there, but it needs very minute accuracy in reading and high expertise, not like theodolite. Even BTech students are studying how to measure the angle with the help of the dip and declination or the angle of the sun using theodolite they are studying. But this was used by only scientists. And in the Middle Ages, before such instruments came, this was very popular. And this is a sextant which was very commonly used by the mariners. It was used to measure the angle difference between two stars or two planets, or the star and a planet like that. This precisely, though it's only marked for 60 degree, it can be used around a circle. It can be rotated around a circle, and it can be used for measurement everywhere. It's not 360 degree, because 360 degree instrument cannot measure the angle correctly. That's why it's a part of a circle, not a full circle. And this was created by John Bird in 1757. From that time onwards, it was widely used by the ship-going people, the mariners. And this is another instrument, telescope, this is the Aboriginal telescope or the old ones. Nowadays, even the Hubble telescope has come in 21st century, which gives a high precision of measurement. Telescope believed to be made by Galileo in 1609, but it is also being told that some shepherds were using this mechanism even before him to locate where their goats or sheep have gone. They used some glass pieces in a small, tubular material, some bamboo or something like that, and through that they used to look at faraway distances. That system was there, and Galileo improvised it and made it a scientific device. That is what is being told about telescope. And when you observe a solar body, whether it's a star or sun, there is always what is called a parallax error. It depends on where from your earlier I was mentioning to you that from Palakkad, some days Polaris may not be visible, because why? From 10 degree northern hemisphere, Palakkad is 10 degree, around 10 degrees something on the northern hemisphere. So Polaris will be that much angle above the pole. From 20 degree on the northern hemisphere, you will see Polaris 20 degree above the Earth. So angle will be wider. That's the reason. For example, from equator, will be very difficult to see the Polaris because Polaris will be at 0-degree elevation. So without some instruments, you may not be able to see it properly. That difficulty is there. So this similarly, whenever you look from two places, there is an old saying, people say whether you are looking from here or elsewhere, the moon is the same and the sun is the same. No, it is wrong. Based on your place of observation, the moon and the sun will be different. It's not the same. And that, of course, that parallax error in case of optical instruments, I'm showing by these diagrams. I'm not going to its explanation. And one thing which you have to keep in mind is, I think yesterday I was selecting some LCD projectors. So I was seeing what is their luminous intensity. Luminous intensity 3100, 3300, 4100, like that. LCD projectors are available, different luminous intensity. So a person standing beside me was asking, why you are going for the luminous intensity? Because I told him, luminous intensity decides when you project something from the LCD projector, whether that will be visible or not on the daylight. If it is dark inside the room, even very less luminous intensity, like 1000 lumens should be enough. But when you are projecting in the daylight, the more the luminous intensity, the more will be the visibility of the projected matter. So we chose very high luminous intensity projectors only. Similarly, the luminous intensity or luminosity of the stars will be different. That is why, and it depends on the distance also. You see, this is the diagram showing the stars distance versus the luminous intensity. The more distant the star is, less will be the luminous intensity. And obviously, the more the star is nearby, the luminous intensity will be very high. That is why sun, which is already only a meager part of the luminous intensity of Andromeda, Andromeda is highly powerful, some thousands of times the luminous intensity of sun, but we see as a very small spot because it is far away. But sun is so close to us; it's the nearest star to Earth. We are seeing it highly luminous. So the distance decides how much luminous we see that star. And of course, some of the cool stars may have temperature less than 5000 degrees centigrade. I told the sun is an intermediate one. There are stars with temperature above 30,000 degrees centigrade. I don't know whether you can imagine 30,000 degrees centigrade. The temperature on the tip of a cigarette is some 300 to 400 degrees centigrade. The temperature of a burning flame is around 500 degrees centigrade. The temperature of an induction furnace is around 1000 to 1500 degrees centigrade. The temperature of bomb explosion, atom bomb explosion at Hiroshima and Nagasaki was 10,000 to 12,000 degrees centigrade. So some stars are having 30,000 degree above, 30,000 Kelvin onwards means you can just imagine what will be the temperature there. So if at all a human being goes very near to it, will be evaporating within a fraction of a second. That is the temperature. Okay. So the intensity of the light coming and obviously the wavelength, you know that the scattering of light is dependent on the wavelength of the light. That is why the blue waves are scattered first. You know that why water is blue, why sky is blue, because the blue wavelength is scattered high and the red wavelengths travel long. That is quite natural in nature also. Based on the wavelength, it is true. And warmer the star temperature, it is more and more bluish. So that is why warm stars, you are not seeing much of warm stars in the universe because their light, when it reaches us, is scattering a lot. Whereas the red giants or stars which are in the dying stage, we see from far away because red light can travel fast, travel more. That is one point because their wavelength is higher. Of course, a hot star, I told hot star will be having surface temperature 10,000 K, emits much more blue. So the more the hotter, the intensity of emission is more and more blue light. So this shows roughly the wavelength versus the transparency of the light. I'm not going much to the technical aspects. I'm just showing only for those who are well versed with the wavelength, transmission of light, etc. And I'll go more to the things which people are curious enough to know. First thing is how fast the light travels. Light travels, 3 lakhs kilometers per second. So across the earth, it takes 0.04 seconds. Why? The Earth is around 13,280 kilometers diameter. Only that much. The Earth is only 13,280 kilometers. Very small. And from the moon is around 4 lakhs kilometers away from Earth. 4 lakhs kilometers away. From the moon, the light takes roughly 1.3 seconds. From the sun, the light takes 8 minutes to reach Earth. So the light which you are seeing from the sun, it has started from the 8 minutes earlier. So you multiply that 8 minutes by 60 seconds by 3 lakhs kilometers, it comes to around 14.8 crores of kilometers. Roughly, we approximate as 15 crores of kilometers. And from Neptune, Neptune is the farthest planet. You know that now there are only 8 planets. Pluto has been removed from the list. So Navagraha has become Ashtagraha now. Because Pluto doesn't qualify to be a planet as per the International Astronomical Union. So Pluto is not a planet now. It's only, an asteroid-like thing. So from Neptune, it takes 4 hours to reach Earth. So just imagine, from Sun, it takes only 8 minutes. From Neptune, it takes 4 hours. So Neptune is far, far away from the Earth. And really, Neptune is not visible from Earth. Neptune can be seen only with high-quality telescope. Neptune is not visible. Now, this is the approximate distance of different planets from the Earth. You see the leftmost, that red-colored thing you are seeing, red and yellow color, it is the Sun. Close to it is the Mercury. Then comes Venus, then Earth, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn, then Uranus, then Neptune. After Neptune, so many small pieces are there. They are asteroid things in the revolving around Neptune, and Pluto is also assumed to be one among them. So Pluto is also comparatively very small compared to Neptune, and you see that the biggest planet is Jupiter. And in the earlier days, in our astrology, only few of these things were considered, because at that time all these planets were not known. Especially Neptune could be known only very recently. But Saturn and Jupiter and Mercury, Venus, Mars, these were known even to the earlier astronomers, because they are visible from the Earth on certain clear days. At certain angles, we can locate Mercury or Venus or Saturn or Jupiter or Mars. We can locate in certain days. So, and many days early morning, many of these things are visible along with the sun. So that is why the astrological calculations take only these planets. But the astrologers at that time assumed a geocentric system, by which they assumed the Earth is a center and all the planets are revolving around, and they assumed Sun is also a big planet, and they assumed the Moon also as a planet, not as a satellite. Anyway, that is a belief system there. Even now, some of the scriptures are following that. Let it come. And this is the sun's path across the sky. It's not a constant path. Across the sky, sun is moving. Sun is moving across the sky. Sun is not stable. Earth is moving around the sun. Sun is moving in the universe. And the galaxy, which sun is there, which is Milky Way. Milky Way is also moving. How fast the movement is there, I think once I have told my students that around 860 kilometers per second, the Earth is moving. Earth is moving one spot. That means within 1 second, around 860 kilometers we are moving. So by the time I blink my eye, I would have traveled from Palakkad to Pune of the air. That is a speed of movement which we are having on this universe. We are not knowing it, lucky. If you feel that you are moving 800 plus kilometers in a second, by the time you blink the eye, what would have been your feeling? So many things in this world we don't feel or understand, and that is a nature's gift. In creation, there are so many gifts, many sounds we cannot hear, many of the radiations we cannot identify, and many of the movements we cannot sense. We are lucky. And some birds and animals which sense some of these things do cry with pain when some such movements happen. So anyway, man is gifted with those things. It's a wonderful creation on the earth, and on the sun's path in the across the sky. This I'll be discussing later when I say about the zodiac. And now the phases of the moon. Moon is revolving around its own axis and moving around the earth also. Every planet, that's a peculiarity of rotary motion. It's like a gyroscope. When a gyroscope is moving around us, it is moving around its own axis also. The same gyroscope principle applies to any planet or any satellite, except man-made satellite. So it's a nature's gift that everything revolves around itself and revolves around some other body. And we still don't know whether Milky Way is revolving around something else. We say that the galaxies are expanding, but we are still to find whether the galaxies revolve around each other or the galaxies revolve around some other form of multiverse or something. We are not sure. So these are things which are still being, when you go deeper and deeper into the astronomy, you feel more and more humble, because you come to know that in my young days, whenever I studied more and more into astronomy, I was feeling myself that the concept of God is so big that I cannot conceive it. So I stopped worshipping God. To me, the concept of God is far, far, far bigger than what the human being can comprehend. So such a God, like what Ishavasya Upanishad says, Ishavasya Midam Sarvam, it is omnipresent. You cannot imagine what is a creation like. So the more and more you study astronomy, I don't believe in any earthly gods, because earthly gods, I think, is minuscule compared to the creation. So maybe it's a belief system which people follow, but it's a reality which those who are interested more and more in astronomy, you have to study more and more astronomy. So the cosmic realities will come to you. This I think you would have studied in your school days. This is lunar eclipse, where you see that the moon is not visible because the earth comes in between the moon and the sun. The moon will be totally shadowed. That is called lunar eclipse. And then similarly, if the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, the sun will be totally shadowed. That is called solar eclipse. So I have shown below the different pictures taken at the time of solar eclipse, how the sun will look like. And that shadow which you are seeing is not the sun; it is the moon actually. The moon hiding the sun. Then planets visible to the naked eye. I have already told, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are visible to us. Uranus is not visible and Neptune is not visible. Uranus you can see with our ordinary household telescope, but Neptune you can see only with Neptune was uh, invented in 1846, more than 1.5 century back. Neptune you can see only with a high quality telescope. By that time we were having those telescopes, big telescopes, and Pluto was invented in 1930. Not invented, discovered, because it was already there. It was discovered in 1930, and in 2006, the International Astronomical Union declared that Pluto is not a planet. So it is now out of the list. And this is a comparative statement of the size of different planets with respect to the sun. Very interesting. I'll just read it because I don't know whether you can see it. The sun is assumed as approximately 109 times the Earth's diameter. Sun, we are assuming that the diameter of the sun is 109 times the Earth diameter. Earth diameter, I told, nearly 13,620 kilometers into 100. So that means around 13.6 lakhs kilometers. You are assuming the sun size. Sun size is not that. Sun size I'll tell later. Sun size, if you just assume that it is only 13.6 lakhs kilometers, Mercury size is only 1 millimeter. Venus size is 3 millimeter. Earth size is 3 millimeter. Mars size is 1.5 millimeter. Jupiter size is 30 millimeter. 30 millimeter means only 3 centimeter. Jupiter is the biggest planet. Jupiter and Saturn are almost equal. But excluding the ring outside, Jupiter is supposed to be the real bigger. Saturn is counted with a ring outside. So Jupiter and Saturn, the biggest planets on this solar system, they are only 3 centimeters, provided we assume that sun is 13.6 lakhs kilometers diameter. Just imagine. So even sun is beyond our imagination. And Pluto is a 1 millimeter poppy seed. Anyway, Pluto is no more. Distance from the sun, again interesting. In that scale, if you take, Earth is at a distance of only 30 meters from the sun. That means you are scaling it down. When you scale it down, when you scale down the Earth to 3 millimeters, its distance from the sun is 30 meters. That means 30,000 millimeters. What the point? Okay, 100, not 1000. Meter is okay, 30,000 only. Meter is 1000 millimeters. Okay. So now coming to this equation, this is the very famous equation, gravitational equation given by Newton. Even today, this is not questioned. So many theories have come to explain the existence or the orbiting of the planets, like the weak gravitational theories, the particle theories. So many theories have come, but even today, this remains a reality that the planets are moving around the sun because of the gravitational theory. That is, there is attraction between planets and the sun. The attraction is directly proportional to the mass of the planet and inversely proportional to the distance between them. So you have seen now how much is the distance and how much is the mass you have seen. And this G is a constant which Newton called gravitational constant. Even today, this is not totally negated. But some of the scientists have come out with a theory that in a huge universe where things are billions and billions of kilometers apart, what is the point in calculating this? So the planets are existing because of some other forces. That is how the weak gravitational force theory has come up and the particle attraction theory has come up. Anyway, forget about that. Even today, this theory is not totally negated. This is, we say, the universe is existing by mutual attraction of planets and stars. And astronomers have so many things to talk. They say the perceived universe, the detected universe, and the theoretical universe are all different. And to you, your universe is your perception. It is true. For all of us, for example, people say that when you show a red cloth to a bull in the bullfight, the bull will come charging at you. People say that red color the bull doesn't like. That is not the reality. Red color bull cannot see. Bull and cow can see only limited colors. Any color other than that, they see as a dark space only. So when you show a red color cloth to a bull, the bull sees it as a huge hollowness, like a dark opening. So it comes charging at it, afraid of it. It is afraid of it. Similarly, we also have limitations. For example, sound less than 20 hertz, we cannot even hear. It's our limitation, like that every animal. So whatever you perceive is your own perception. Your eyesight, your ear capacity, your brain capacity decides what is the world it's visible to you or sensible to you. It's not the world that somebody else. So every being, whether human being or any other organism on this earth, has got its own world. It's not the same world as the other person. And of course, that is what is called the perceived universe, which you perceive. So perceived universe is different for each person. Whereas even the color which you are seeing will not be the same color seen by someone else. You can check with others, we'll see slightly differently. Okay. Now, the theoretical universe is what Einstein has been trying to model, what Hawking has been trying to explain. These are all theoretical universe where they expect that the universe is expecting in some form. Now, I have given the basics of astronomy. Now, the most debated matter today is astronomy versus astrology. There are people for it and against it. Of course, let me see what is the reality. Astronomy is the principles, or astronomy is the regulations or laws of the space, where how the space parts are moving, staying, or stationary. All things are studied by astronomy. Astrology is a belief system. People say it's a mythical belief system. Whatever it is, it's a belief system like the God belief, like the belief in religion. So it is quite individualistic. Astronomy is scientific pursuit of the study of the space and the stellar bodies inside it. But astrology is a mythical belief system where people want to correlate the heavenly bodies with our life. That is very individualistic. Very many people believe it, not only in India, all over the world. Many people don't believe it. There are people who argue for it. There are people who argue against it. Now I'll discuss about these things and then I'll come to my stand. I'll explain my stand. Of course, I've got my own perception. I think these things have been taking away a lot of my time in my young days. When I was a student for BTech, many days I've spent time on thinking these things, and ultimately I came to my conclusion then, and still now I'm following it. And even after reading many things, my concept of these things haven't changed. So whatever concept I believe in is pretty old, which has been made nearly 4 decades back. Now let us see which is true, whether there is something in astrology. Astrology has formed in a very past period. Some people say that astrology originated in India. Some people say that astrology originated in Babylonia. And whatever it is, whether it originated in India or originated in Babylonia, I'm not going to debate over it. Why? Because we have to see what is the present system. But both the systems were entirely different. The Indian system of astrology was based on the lunar system, based on the moon. The Babylonian system was based on the sun, solar system. So solar system of astrology and the lunar system of astrology originated from the astronomy initially, because astronomy in India in the early days, for example, the earliest astrologers in India, like people like Varahamihira, followed the lunar system. And even in Vedas, there are so many mentions about astronomical parameters. They all followed what is called the lunar system based on the moon. And Indians observed that the moon period is having impact on the life of flora and fauna. It is true. For example, the gestation period of most of the living beings are in lunar months, like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. A lunar month is basically 27 days and 8 hours. So 27 and 1 by 3 a day. And that is why earlier our system used to be 28 stars for the lunar month. In India, the system was earlier 28 stars. There was one star, Abhijit, in addition to. Now you know that Ashwati Bharani Kartika, Malayalam you say 27 stars. Ashwati Bharani Kartika Rohini Maghiram, like that you say in Malayalam. Like that in Tamil also it is there, in Sanskrit also it is there. Only the star names are different. Right now, India is following a uniform pattern of 27 stars. There was a time in astrology and in astronomy also, because this was combined for astronomy and astrology, where 28 stars. That star is missing now. That star is by name Abhijit. It's not there mentioned anywhere nowadays. If you refer the old Sanskrit books, you can come to such a star. And this star movement, all the period, the astronomers were studying. And Kerala is a peculiar state where the Malayalam calendar is calculated every year with astronomical calculation. That's the only place in the world where every year a calendar is calculated. All other places in the world, only the Malayalam calendar. All other places in the world, either the calendar is based on an annual system of 65 days or 300 days, or the Hijra, which is based on 12 lunar months. Even the Muslim calendar is based on lunar months only. They give weightage. That means the Arabians or the Persians were concerned about the lunar system. I think they would have adopted from the Indian system. I hope so, because the Western system was not lunar system. That was based on the sun's movement in different zodiac. Okay, leave it. So what I'm saying is, in the initial days, this calendar calculation was a Herculean task. It needed to be done because only with the calendar they could predict. They had to have a calendar, and that to a calculated calendar, like when the seed should be sowed, when the harvest should be done. All this needed exact calculation of the seasons. So very good calculation was necessary. And the astronomers were the people who doing it. But when they were practicing it, no, scientists at those times were the astronomers. They became very poor because there is no income. Then everybody respected them because they are the people who say when you should harvest, when you should sow, when the rain will come, when the sun will shine. These are the people who are telling it. But they were not having a regular source of income. Then people approached them gradually, asking whether you can predict. You are predicting what is going to happen to the nature. You are going to predict when is the rain expected to come, when is the season going to change. By astronomical calculations, they could predict it precisely most of the time, whether it is Indian astronomers or Western astronomers. So people started, people are more curious. This is how the story goes. People started approaching them whether you can predict what will happen in my life. And they found that this is a very good system that they can find a livelihood out of it, because they were denied a livelihood. They are great scholars. They were denied a livelihood. When people wanted to predict something for them, people started paying them well. So most of the astronomers gradually became changed over from a scientific system to what is called a belief system, astrology. And for those people who believe in astrology, most of the things will happen also. Why? Because these astronomers are very wise people. By seeing a person's attitude and makeup, they will be able to predict about something of that person. Even the experienced people in this group can predict something about a person if we see a person. So they used to predict with more common sense. And those predictions, they use some equations or slogas. Here it was mostly slogas. In Western countries, it were equations, and they became very popular. And if you predict anything about a person, 50% is bound to happen. And people have got a peculiar nature. Things which happen, they remember. And things which didn't happen, they won't remember, they forget it. So this helped the astrologers in predicting the future of people, whereas they were studying about the stellar objects or the cosmic objects. They started slightly changing over predicting the future of human beings also. But remember, the stellar effect, the cosmic effect is same for all beings. It's not affecting human beings only. If at all there is any effect on human beings or by the cosmic bodies, definitely the same effect should be there on all flora and fauna on the earth. We cannot reject it, and that is one thing. Second thing is, when you are predicting today, if we say it's a full moon day or a half moon day or a no moon day, even the earth is influenced by the moon. On an eclipse, the earth is influenced by the sun. These are all quite common things. But there is no rule or no proven evidence that you can predict after so many years or months what is going to happen. And that too, when I discuss about the zodiac, I'll tell zodiac is a scientific calculation system, how this has been used in the astrological predictions. But there are people, and to my knowledge, more people believe in astrology than people not believing it. Especially in a country like India, it has been merged with the belief system too much. Anyway, that is up to the people to believe or not. This I have shown earlier, the constellations. This is one contradiction actually. I have told that there are 13 months actually, 13 constellations which are in the movement of the sun. We are counting only 12 constellations, but there are 13, and the 13th one is Ophiuchus, which has been counted earlier. This is the system which the astronomers and astrologers both are using. In Malayalam, we call it the Rashi Chakra. In English, we call it as the Zodiac. Zodiac means the sun. Along with the sun, one constellation will be there for a particular period. This constellation will remain along with the sun for around 30 days. So that constellation, around 27 plus days. And that constellation, so the sun is said to be in that constellation in that period. There are, for example, here you see, this is Leo, this is Virgo, this is Libra, this is Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn. I used to by heart this as LGSS Kappa GC. Means Leo, Virgo, Libra, LGLSS, Kappa, GC, the whole zodiac you can easily remember. That is how I always remember it. Similarly, there is equivalent in Malayalam. Chingam. Leo stands for Chingam, Virgo for Kanni, Libra for Tula, Scorpio for... And the point is, this is actually the Babylonian terms which we are using. But even in Malayalam, it is equal term. Even in all over India, it is an equal term. I don't know whether Indians contributed to Babylonia or Babylonians contributed to India. Whatever it is, for example, Leo. Leo means lion. In Malayalam, it is Chingam, means lion. Chingam stands for Simham, which is lion. So Virgo in Western language means a maid, a virgin maid. and in Malayalam it is Kanni. Kanni means Kanyaga. So how the interaction happened, whatever it is, it has happened. So these are the 12 constellations. Out of the 88 constellations which are visible from the Earth, we took 12 constellations, and in each constellation, the sun is there roughly for around 27 to 28 days. There is one Ophiuchus was supposed to be there in December month, but it's missing here. December month, it has been there earlier. Even in the Indian system, as well as the Babylonian system, this 13th month was there earlier. Nowadays, it is not there. It has been removed. And this is the period in which each zodiac or each Rashi, in India we call it as the Rashi Chakra. In each Rashi, the sun is there. For example, you see here, let us take any one. Say, for example, Leo. Leo, this is Leo. Leo is around August to September. Then Virgo is around September to October. The medium day comes on September 21. The medium of August comes on, Leo comes in August 21st. Roughly, that is roughly, not exactly, because 21st has been taken as a reference date because the equinoxes initially were on March 21st and September 21st. Equinox means the day on which the sun crosses the equator. But nowadays, we cannot say equinox is always on 21st. Some days, for example, this year, the equinox was on March 22nd instead of 21st. So some days it may change, some years. But approximately, earlier it used to be March 21st and September 21st. But now most of the time, either it is March 21st or 22nd, September 21st or 22nd. So March 21 is taken as a reference. So for example, my birth star is supposed to be Leo. So I was born on August 4th. So August 4th comes in the initial part of Leo constellation. That is, but I was born in the Malayalam month Karkidagam. Karkidagam in English is Cancer. See the discrepancy. In the Western system, I would have been in Cancer. But in the Indian system, I was in Leo. I'm taken as in Chingakur. Okay. So this is, so slight difference is there. Let it be there. What I'm saying is these zodiac signs are a realistic thing. Only thing in astronomy, we take it for a stellar calculations. Whereas in astrology, people say that when your birth star is in one of this, what is going to happen? When you are born in Jupiter or when you are born in Saturn, what is going to happen? So much imagination has crept into it. And the only thing is some blunders also have come up because in the astrological system, even sun and moon are taken as graha only, planets. Earth is ascended. Even now it is geocentered. The Indian astronomy even now is geocentered. But remember, the Westerners have recently changed it. Over the past few years, the Western people are changing their horoscopes with heliocentered. Heliocentered means sun-centered. Indians have not yet changed. In India, Earth is even the center right now also for astrological calculations. So I think my time is almost getting over. I'm not talking much now. I think some more information are there. I'll just show it. This is how the Malayalam Gruhanala is. Gruhanala means at the time of your birth, how the planets were standing. That is what Gruhanala. So how do you know which planet was in your constellation at that time? Here Chandran is also a planet. And here Ravi is also a planet. It's not shown here. Ravi means it will be written as Ra in Malayalam. Ravi means sun. Chandran, it is written here. Because Kujan is the red planet, Mars. It is supposed to be a non-auspicious planet because it is red color. That is why we say about Chova Dosham. Based on your birth star, if it is connected with Mars, it is supposed to be, highly inauspicious. Anyway, those are all things which you are mostly heard about. So that system is still following. Even this, of course, this is geocentered because on the earth, what are the 12 months? These are the 12 months of the zodiac in Malayalam. It starts from Leo, Virgo, Libra. So Chingam, Kanni, Tulam, like that it starts. So I've given of course, time limit was there. It's a subject which I used to talk a lot because when I was having my BTech Viva, I still remember the external examiner who came asked me, what is your favorite subject? I said astronomy. Then he was a person who was very much interested in astronomy. I think my Viva took almost 1 hour. We are talking a lot of astronomy at that time. So I still remember astronomy as my BTech Viva subject. So you cannot contain astronomy in a, of course, astrology is basically a belief system. You can interpret the way you like it, and that is what I have told. I don't want to debate with people who believe in astrology. It's just like God belief. I don't debate with anybody believing in God. Why? Because I am a God believer, but I don't worship any God. To me, the God is something which is beyond the imagination of a mankind. I know very well that no God can come and help me, because God is a concept which cannot be conceived by a human being on this earth. It is far beyond that. When you learn more and more about the universe, you will understand that you are an insignificant. So the rules of the universe will rule you. That's all. Now God is coming to help you individually. So I don't object to anybody who believes that there is a God who will come and help them. That is their belief system. And many doctors have told that if people are having such a God belief system, they may sometimes miraculously escape danger. So if you believe in astrology, believe only in the positive things. Don't believe in things which people say negatively. That will make a negative impact on you, because nowadays there are so many people who make money out of it. They will say you so many things and threaten you so many things, and if you believe in that, they will take away your money, and ultimately the astrology will end up as a punishment for you. So if you believe in something in astrology, believe only in the positive things, because it's a pseudoscience. It's only a belief system. It's not attached to any science. So if you want to believe, there is nothing wrong. You believe it. Don't try to persuade others to believe it. This is my opinion on the matter. So now, if there are any questions, I think I have done justice in my available time. We couldn't discuss much. If anybody wants to ask any question, we have already passed the time. I took exactly 1 hour, but some 5 minutes. I'm very happy that my most respected former principal, my guru, Dr. Baleshwapanikar sir is here. He's a person who keeps a keen interest on these things. And my uncle, Dr. Gopalakrishna, who is no more, was his close friend, and my uncle was a strong believer in astrology. And he used to tell me that his lifespan is not that high. Luckily or unluckily, he died at the age of 44. I don't know whether his belief system also had an impact on it, but it worked.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Can I, if you don't
Yes,
mind,
sir, you
I can say,
most welcome.
I did not expect this type of presentation. Indian astronomy is also equally correct, I tell you, because our forefathers, you see the Ramayana, ഉച്ചത്തിൽ പഞ്ചഗ്രഹം നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ കാലത്തികൾ, it is said there. 5 stars and 5 planets were at their highest position. What is the meaning of highest position? What is the position? How did they define the position? 12 rashis. And today is, yesterday it was parody, Kodagallur parody. Is it? Where is the position of the sun, the moon? Please tell me. Where was the moon? Position of moon. And today this is Meenam Mass, month of Meenam. മീനമാസത്തിൽ സൂര്യൻ എവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്നു? സൂര്യൻ ഏത് കോൺസ്റ്റലേഷൻ നിൽക്കുന്നു? ഒരു കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് 27 മന്ത്രിടുന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മുടേതാണ്. അതൊന്നും അങ്ങോട്ടൊന്നും പോകേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ല. We have our own. That 27 was the initial concept. Later on it was found that slightly more than, because the calculation did not differ, and they found that 1/3 also will be here. That is that they have added one more small fraction of it. It was wedged in between Uttradam and Chingam. രണ്ട് രാശികളുടെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് 19 minutes, 1/3 of 60, nearly 1/3 of 60. It is an added one, which is not considered for astronomy as astrology like that. So there are clear meanings. Can you tell me where you can see which planet today with the position of the stars and the planets given in the Panchanga? You have the normal Panchanga has the position, the Rashi Chakra. It indicates the position of Kujan, Vyayam, Buthan, Abhyarthi. Can you find out, understand where, which is the month, which is the star, where is the position of the moon, which is the position of the Mercury, whether the Mercury is before the sun or behind the sun. We have a very clear, and though it is geocentric calculation, it has been corrected for the place of observation. Our Panchanga is prepared from observation from Palakkad. It has to be corrected for Trivandrum or America. So the corrections are there. So the position, the relative position of the observer, and also the latitude, the position of your latitude has to be corrected for the ideal one, which is available in the our system of astronomy. So the correction for latitude and longitude, so with all these corrections. So to your surprise, we have a person in Tirur Taluk. We had Parameshwaran, Alathur Parameshwaran, who spent 55 years for real observation of the movement of the planets. And he found the variation of the position predicted. Observed positions and predicted positions were different. He looked at the particular position where it should have been. A particular planet was supposed to be there. But it is missing from there. It is at a different position. He calculated, he introduced formula for timely calculation, periodical calculation and correction. So some very wonderful knowledge is available in our astronomy. Indian astronomy was the origin. Everything about how do you name the weekdays after the planets, excluding our Navagraha is all. You have the two shadow planets also, Rahu and Ketu. But with the 7 observable planets, we have identified the timing system for week. 7-day weeks are named according to a particular reason. It is a logical conclusion. So we have wonderful knowledge. I think you may study further. I have written a book. I have written a book on that. Ancient, our heritage in Indian astronomy. It contains the Aryabhata has given very, very detailed explanation for all these things. So you should. I advise you to learn these things and expand your knowledge. You have only the knowledge obtained from the foreign sources, but we have a very rich knowledge system here accordingly. And also I tell you regarding the astrology, if you examine the horoscope of Sri Rama, he has got the very, very highest, the strongest Chavadosham. Strongest Chavadosham is in the astrology, in the horoscope of Sri Rama. Did he enjoy a real family life? It's a question. He did not have. And he even at the last moment, he even rejected his wife. He declined to accept her. Asked her to go wherever she wanted to go. I don't want you. So this is one very simple example, corrected, but because some number of factors have to be considered for in prediction. But Ahalia has the Panchasiddhantika. So he has given for one combination, one position for 2 planets. So the relative positions vary. So all these factors, one is strong, one has strong influence, the other is weak, and you have to take a very statistical average to before prediction. I have seen there were very knowledgeable astronomers whose predictions were found to be very exact after writing their horoscope, after some 20 years after writing the horoscope. So don't make an aspiration about our astronomy and astrology. Study it and tell me where we are wrong. Where is the mistake? What is the mistake in our astrology? It has got that the declination, everything is there. So very strong as our astronomy is based on spherical trigonometry. Whatever you teach in your is available in this. So it has been a practical application. So it's very, very wonderful science. So it requires a further detailed study, and then only we should make some observations. First, you understand it and prove that it is wrong. Without understanding it, why make observations whether it is foolish? So it is up to the people who to believe it or not. But don't decry our system. Our system is much more strong, and really, even without any instrument for observation of the position of the planet, we had found all the positions which very detailed, and you will be wondering how these people how far they have gone. So for 55 years, Parameshwara has observed the position of them and introduced correction formula for the position of other planets, especially Moon. Moon doesn't have a strong, steady or a fixed orbit. The position of the orbit is changing every day, along with the position of the Earth. It's a moving orbit. So there it is the most difficult. So predicting the position of the Moon is the most difficult one. Sangamagrama Madhava has written a book on the position of to find the position of the Moon, irrespective of the period. Have a reference point, from there find out. So I think some very detailed information has to be passed on to the people to correct their knowledge and assumptions. So assume that we don't have anything, then you are okay. It is not the correct. We have equally or if not more valuable information. Western astronomers, astrologers do not refer to our system, but our system is logical. Whether because of the different, because the incorrect timing. If you give a time and they write the horoscope according to that time, a small difference in time is totally shatters. So that's the position. So I'm happy that you have given a very good introduction about the Western system and so what is the meaning of 27 stars? 84 nakshatras have been in the modern system, 84, 85, but we have only 27. We have taken only the constellation on either side of the ecliptic, the path of the sun. All the planets are moving within that belt, 80 degrees, 15 or 16 degrees, including solid angle. And in that belt, all these planets move with slight inclination with their respective on their respective orbits. So these are wonderful things and a very interesting thing. So please go ahead to make a detailed study of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And Mahadevan sir, ഇതിലെ ഒരു സുലേഖയുടെ ഒരു question ഉണ്ട്. In astrology, few of astrologers are predicting and writing accurate jataka according to the birth time of a newborn baby. If on the astrologer not seeing the newborn baby, what about your views on that? She's asking about the writing of jataka, I guess.
I told that it is a belief which people keep. For example, one atheist conducted a study. That study was published all over the world. It is a study conducted by actually he was not an atheist. He was a journalist who gave the birth position, which we say Grahanala, to 64 astrologers around the world and asked them to write horoscope based on that without telling who it is. And all the 64 wrote the horoscope and gave her back. And she published it. And all the horoscopes were saying that it is a very good horoscope. This child, they thought it is a small child. This child will become very great. Like that, the horoscope was given. She has given it to the Indian astrologers and the Western astrologers equally. And I happened to go through that study, and at the end, that journalist revealed the horoscope given was that of a person imprisoned by murder case with life imprisonment. It was not revealed to the astrologers earlier. And this is a real life story because it was published with a background also. But I cannot say that it's a belief system. Like, say, some people believe that only the God which they believe are the correct one. They don't accept any other God. They say the other gods are Satan or whatever it is. They have got their own God believing system. So people who believe in astrology, whenever something is written in the horoscope, it comes to that, they will feel that, okay, it is told in my horoscope, so it has come true. But I request all of them to read the horoscope fully. And also, please give the planetary position, the Grahanala, without telling who it is, to an unknown astrologer. Don't say that this is my son's or daughter's birth time. I'll tell one example. In my horoscope was written when I was born. In that horoscope, the astrologer has written that I will own my own vehicle. This was written 60 years back. I will own my own vehicle, because at that time vehicles were not popular. So I still feel that person would have been very wise to foresee that by the time I grow up, vehicles will be very common. For example, now I can easily write. Everybody's horoscope I can write. They will have a very good capacity smartphone. I can easily write. So there are certain things which we can predict. But if you don't reveal whose planetary position you are giving and ask them to write the horoscope, let them write it and compare it. Make a study. I'm not against people believing. People can believe, like what Panikkar sir was saying. Of course, I never negated the Indian system. I was saying that the lunar system was the Indian system and solar-based calculations were the Western system. I am not, and I also have seen that the Indian development in astronomy was far, far better than the Western system. I don't know whether I especially told that. The Indian system of astronomy was far, far better than the Western system of astronomy till the last century. In the last century, the Westerners have gone far beyond. They went up to even other planets, which we are still following them only. They went up to the moon in 1959. They orbited around the moon in 1959. We did it after 50 years only. So we are behind them right now. But in the olden astronomy, astronomical calculations, we were very great in astronomical calculations. And even before Da Vinci could design an aeroplane, Indian poet Valmiki has designed an aeroplane in woods. So we were not behind in anything. But of course, belief system, that is different. The Westerners have another belief system and the Indians have another belief system. So horoscope is another belief system. So people who believe it feel that whatever happens to them is based on that. And we cannot blame them because it is their belief system. Like why so many religions are there? Over 300 religions are there in the world. Out of them, around 20 plus religions feel that the other religions are foolish. Around 20 plus religions feel that the other religions are foolish. Luckily, Hinduism is one religion which has got more tolerance. Hindu people don't believe that the other religions are foolish. But there are religions in this world, especially of Semitic origin, which believe that all the others who are believing in some other religion, they are devils. And in some religion, there's a belief system that if you kill such a person who is not believing in our religion, that is an assurance for heaven to us. There are religions like that. So belief system will always have its own positive and negative things. And obviously, horoscope will happen to people who believe in it. It will never happen to people who won't believe it. That's all.
The meaning is that actually our astronomy is correct. It's a science. Astrology
Yes.
is an assumption. So
Yes,
you cannot
that is what I told, sir.
actually.
That is what I was
Our
saying.
astronomy,
Indian astronomy was far, far better. That I
even now
mentioned
it
many
is
times. In
true.
my speech, I mentioned it. Astrology,
If
whether
you
it is
see
Western
the
astrology
position,
or Indian astrology, astrology has got the same concept. Astrology is a money-making business right from the beginning. And I told also how it originated.
even we have such a the politics or economics. All these are systems which based on certain assumptions.
Yes.
So
Yes, true.
astronomy, Indian astronomy can tell you whether you can find the planet Jupiter or Saturn today. If you
True.
can
Even
see
not only,
where it is positioned with
sir, not
respect to
only
the
now,
moon.
even centuries back, our astronomers were capable of predicting the exact position of the planet.
So
They were very good at that. Right.
So that part nobody can find fault, and the
Right.
observation has to be corrected according to the position of observation. That's the only thing.
And even the
And
documents
there
available at Nalanda, the documents available at Nalanda, which were burned by invaders, they were having the precise astronomical predictions of centuries, but we lost it. It's all truth. But dark
Aryabhata
ages
was
were there in the West. We were having best age in India.
Aryabhata was supposed to be the head of astronomy in Nalanda.
Right.
Aryabhata. In 495, at the age of 23, he composed this at a young age.
Right.
So that is so we have we can spend more time over to introduce the Indian astronomy and its
And I also heard that in Brihat Samhita, all the astronomical observations of the West and East up to that time have been codified. There is no book matching Brihat Samhita in that time. Maybe right now the astronomical books are more of the West. That is true. If you go for any astronomic book, only 10% will be Indian books, even less than that. That is also there.
As you have rightly mentioned, the time of crossing the equator by the sun's path, ecliptic crossing, that was the reference point. It is changing backwards. It was at the first point of Ashwini Nakshatra, in that segment, the first point of Ashwini, at the original time, all these planets were in the same line, and from that point, it has started. At that particular point, the sun crosses this equator, and this crossing point is receding. ഉരുട്ടാതി നക്ഷത്രത്തിന്റെ അടുത്തെങ്ങാണ്ടാണ് നിൽക്കുന്നത്. ആ പൊസിഷൻ മാറി പുറകോട്ട് മാറുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ രാഹുവും കേതു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ രണ്ട് നോഡൽ പോയിന്റ്സ് ഫോർവേഡ് അല്ല മൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ബാക്ക്വേഡാണ്. അതൊക്കെ വളരെ അതിന് കാരണമുണ്ടപ്പാ അതുപോലെ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അത്ര ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ അറിയാൻ കഴിയും. I hope you can spend some time and find something which you can correlate with the normal usage of people, common people. Okay, thank you all very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
giving
sir.
me that. Yes, this should be actually taken up seriously. What is required? We require a system of research. These predictions and the research, you can cases, you find cases of observation and versus prediction. How statistically varying there. Some people who are interested in astronomy and astrology can undertake the actual research, which is point of study, detailed point study. Okay, encourage it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I think it is 8:30. We can wind up the session. It is 8:30, half an hour past our duration. And as we mentioned at the beginning, astrology and astronomy are quite a debated topic. And I think that if this discussion is left to continue, maybe it will go on for a day or maybe for years. So,
Not there.
ബിന്ദു മാം ഒരു കാര്യം കൂട്ടിച്ചേരാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
പറയൂ സർ.
നമ്മുടെ വേദങ്ങളുടെ ഫിലോസഫി അനുസരിച്ച് ഒരു ഹ്യൂമൻ ബോഡി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് മൊത്തം യൂണിവേഴ്സിന്റെ ഒരു മിനിയേച്ചർ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പൊ പൊതുവെ ഇതിനെ ഈ അസ്ട്രോളജിയെ പരീക്ഷിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ പറയാറുണ്ട്, ഇത്ര ലക്ഷക്കണക്കിന് കിലോമീറ്റർ ദൂരെയുള്ള ഗ്രഹങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനെ മനുഷ്യനെ സ്വാധീനിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ അതൊരു തെറ്റായ ഒരു മോഡേൺ സയൻസ് അക്സെപ്റ്റ് ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒറ്റ കാര്യം കൊണ്ട് നമുക്കത് നിഷേധിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ഇപ്പൊ ആയുർവേദത്തിന്റെ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ പറയുന്ന വാദം, പിത്തം, കഫത്തിന്റെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ഹ്യൂമൻ ബോഡിയെ അവർ അനലൈസ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതിന്റെ ബേസിലുള്ള ട്രീറ്റ്മെന്റ് എത്രയോ സക്സസ് ആണ്. സോ ഒരിക്കലും ആയുർവേദത്തിന് മോഡേൺ സയൻസ്, മോഡേൺ മെഡിസിൻ അംഗീകരിച്ചിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പൊ ശാസ്ത്രം അംഗീകരിച്ചാലേ വിശ്വസിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പിന്നെ രണ്ട്, കേരളത്തിന്റെ സാമൂഹ്യ ചരിത്രത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും അധികം സ്വാധീനം ചെലുത്തിയ കഥകളാണ് ഈ പറയപ്പെട്ട പന്തിരി കുലത്തില്. അതിലൊക്കെ വളരെ അക്യുറേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഫ്യൂച്ചർ പ്രഡിക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ജ്യോതിഷന്മാരെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. അവരാരും മണി മേക്കിംഗ് ബിസിനസ് അല്ല, അത് പ്യൂർലി നോളേജ് ഓറിയന്റഡ് സിസ്റ്റത്തില് അഗ്രഗണ്യന്മാരായിരുന്നു. പിന്നീട് ഓവർ ദ പീരീഡ് ഓഫ് ടൈം എല്ലാത്തിലും ഒരു അപജയം വന്ന സമയത്ത് അതിലും അപജയം വന്നു. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോ ഇപ്പോഴും അസ്ട്രോളജി ശരിക്കും ചിട്ടയായി പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ വളരെ നൈസ് പ്രഡിക്ഷൻ ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. എനിക്ക് പലരെയും പരിചയമുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ അതിന് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി പറയുന്നില്ല. ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിലും വളരെ പ്യൂരിസ്റ്റിക് വാല്യൂ കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. ആൻഡ് അത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു, ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റ്.
ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് കേട്ടോന്നറിയില്ല, ഞാനൊരു പോയിന്റ് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു. ചില ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റം വളരെ ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ട്, അതായത് എന്റെ അടുക്ക സർജൻസ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്, ചില ബിലീഫ് ചില ആളുകളെ ഡെത്തിൽ നിന്ന് സർജറി ടൈമിലൊക്കെ രക്ഷിക്കാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ചില ബിലീഫ് ഒക്കെ നല്ലതാണ്, പക്ഷെ ആ ബിലീഫ് ഇറ്റ് ഓൾ ബിക്കംസ് ബാഡ് വെൻ യു ഫോഴ്സ് അപ്പോൺ സമ്മൺ എൽസ് യുവർ ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റം. അവിടെയാണ് ബിലീഫ് ഒരുപാടുണ്ട്. ഉദാഹരണത്തിന് ഹെവൻലി ബോഡീസിന് നമ്മുടെ ബോഡിയിൽ ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഇല്ലാതും ഇല്ല, ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഉണ്ടാവും, ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് സോ മിനിസ്ക്യൂൾ. ഇപ്പോ വളരെ ദൂരെ നിൽക്കുന്ന സൂര്യന് നമ്മുടെ എർത്തിൽ ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഓൾ ഹെവൻലി ബോഡീസ് ഹാവ് ഇമ്പാക്ട് ഓൺ us, ഇല്ല എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾ അതിനെ വെച്ചിട്ട് മാഗ്നിഫൈ ചെയ്തിട്ട്, ഉദാഹരണത്തിന് ഇപ്പോ സൂര്യൻ ഇന്ന് ചൂട് കൂടിയത് കൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഭാവി നശിച്ചു പോയെന്ന് പറയുന്ന രീതിയിലേക്ക് പോകാൻ പാടില്ല എന്ന് മാത്രം. ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റം ഈസ് ഹെൽപ്പിംഗ് പീപ്പിൾ. ഞാൻ അതുകൊണ്ടാണല്ലോ ഈ ബിലീവേഴ്സിനെ ഒരിക്കലും ഒപ്പോസ് ചെയ്യാത്തത്. ഇഫ് ദേ ബിലീവ് ഇൻ ഗുഡ് തിങ്സ്, ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഗുഡ് ഫോർ ദം ആൻഡ് ദ സൊസൈറ്റി. പിന്നെ അസ്ട്രോളജിയിലേക്ക് മാറിയ സമയത്ത് ഒരുപാട് അപജയം വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അസ്ട്രോളജിയിലേക്ക് മാറുമ്പോൾ അത് ഇപ്പോ ഒരു സയൻസ്, ഒരു സ്യൂഡോ സയൻസിലേക്ക് മാറുന്ന ഇഫക്റ്റ് ആണ്. എല്ലാ സയൻസിനും, ഞാൻ ഒരു സെഷൻ വാസ്തുവിദ്യയെ കുറിച്ച് എടുത്തിരുന്നു. എത്രയോ നല്ല പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ് ഉള്ള വാസ്തുവിദ്യ അത് പ്രൈവറ്റ് ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റിന് വേണ്ടി വളച്ചൊടിക്കപ്പെടുന്നു. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് എ വെരി ലേൺഡ് സയൻസ്. ഇന്ത്യൻ വാസ്തുവിദ്യ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലോകം മുഴുവൻ റെക്കഗ്നൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒന്നായിരുന്നു. അതുപോലെ ഇന്ത്യൻ അസ്ട്രോണമി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലോകം മുഴുവൻ റെക്കഗ്നൈസ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഇന്ത്യൻ ആയുർവേദ ലോകം മുഴുവൻ. ഭാഗ്യത്തിന് ആയുർവേദത്തിൽ ഇത്രമാത്രം ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റം കയറി കൂടിയിട്ടില്ല. ഇതൊക്കെ പറയുമെങ്കിലും ആയുർവേദത്തിൽ ഇപ്പോഴും മരുന്നുകൊണ്ടാണ് ചികിത്സ, മന്ത്രം കൊണ്ടല്ല. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് സ്റ്റിൽ സർവൈവിങ് ബെറ്റർ. മന്ത്രം കൊണ്ട് മാത്രമാണ് ചികിത്സയെങ്കിൽ, പണ്ട് വിഷവൈദ്യന്മാര് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. വിഷവൈദ്യന്മാര് എനിക്കറിയുന്ന ഒരു വിഷവൈദ്യനോട് ഞാൻ എനിക്ക് സ്വകാര്യമായിട്ട് ചോദിച്ചു, ഈ പാമ്പ് കടിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പോ നിങ്ങൾ എന്തിനാണ് ഈ മന്ത്രം ജപിക്കുന്നതെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അപ്പൊ ആ വിഷവൈദ്യൻ എനിക്ക് പറഞ്ഞതെന്നറിയാം, എനിക്ക് അറിയുന്ന ഒരാളായതുകൊണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞത്, ഈ പാമ്പ് കടിക്കുന്നതിൽ വളരെ കുറച്ച് പെർസെന്റേജ് മാത്രമേ വിഷം ഏൽക്കുള്ളൂ. നന്നായി അറിയുന്ന ഒരു വിഷവൈദ്യൻ ഈ പാമ്പ് കടിച്ച സ്ഥലം കാണുമ്പോൾ അറിയാം വിഷം ഏറ്റിട്ടുണ്ടോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്ന്. വിഷം ഏറ്റിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ അവരെ അടുത്തുള്ള ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിലേക്ക് അയക്കും. വിഷം ഏറ്റിട്ടില്ല എന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഉറപ്പുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനെയാണ് അടുത്ത കാലത്ത്. പണ്ട് അങ്ങനെയല്ല, പണ്ട് വിഷം ചികിത്സിക്കുന്നവരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പൊ ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, വിഷം ഏറ്റിട്ടില്ല എന്നവർക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവർ മന്ത്രമൊക്കെ ചൊല്ലി എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പച്ചക്കൂട്ടൊക്കെ കൊടുത്തിട്ട് കഴിച്ചാൽ മതി മാറും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. എനിക്കും അങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട് അനുഭവം. കാരണം എന്നെ ഒരിക്കൽ കുളത്തിൽ വെച്ചൊരു പാമ്പ് കടിച്ചു. കുളത്തിൽ വെച്ചായതുകൊണ്ട് അത് വിഷപ്പാമ്പല്ല എന്ന് തോന്നി. എങ്കിലും എന്നെ ഒരു വിഷവൈദ്യന്റെ അടുക്ക, എന്റെ കുഞ്ഞിലെയാണ്, വിഷവൈദ്യന്റെ അടുത്ത് കൊണ്ടുപോയി. അപ്പൊ അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു തലമുടി, ഭാര്യയുടെ ഒരു തലമുടി എടുത്തിട്ട് എന്റെ കാലിൽ കൂടി ഓടിച്ചിട്ട് പല്ല് അവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നതായിട്ട് കണ്ടെത്തി. ആ പല്ല് മുടി കെട്ട് തന്നെ വലിച്ചൂരി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് എന്റെ അടുക്ക പറഞ്ഞു, ഇന്ന് അത്താഴം കഴിക്കണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു, എന്താ അത്താഴം കഴിക്കേണ്ടത്? അത് നീർക്കോലിയാണ് കടിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്, നീർക്കോലി കടിച്ചത് കൊണ്ട് അത്താഴം കഴിക്കണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ അങ്ങനത്തെ ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റം ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ പിന്നീട് വളരെ കാലത്തിന് ശേഷം ഞാനൊരു ഡോക്ടറോട് ഇത് വെരിഫൈ ഉണ്ടായി. ഈ നീർക്കോലി കടിച്ചാൽ അത്താഴം കഴിക്കണമെന്ന് പറയുന്നതിൽ എന്താണ് ഫിലോസഫി? അപ്പൊ അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞ നീർക്കോലി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയും, പുളകൻ എന്നൊക്കെയാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ നാട്ടിൽ പറയാറ്. അതൊരു നോൺ പോയിസണസ്, നോൺ വെനമസ് സ്നേക്കാണ്. അതിന് വിഷവേ ഇല്ല. പക്ഷെ അത് കടിച്ചാൽ ആളുകൾക്ക് പേടിയുണ്ടാവും. അതുകൊണ്ട് അത് കടിച്ചിട്ട് കൊട്ടിയെന്ന് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന്റെ പല്ലെടുത്ത് കളയണം, ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവിടെ നിന്ന് പഴുക്കും. ഈ പല്ലെടുത്ത് കളഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് മന്ത്രമൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പച്ചമരുന്ന് പോലെ തന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു വിശ്വാസം വരില്ല. അതിനുവേണ്ടി അവർ തന്നാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് എ ഗുഡ് തിങ്. അപ്പൊ ആ വിശ്വാസം രക്ഷിച്ചു. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാനൊന്ന് സുഖമായിട്ട് കിടന്നുറങ്ങി. ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് പേടിയായിരുന്നു, ഇത് എന്താ കടിച്ചത്. അപ്പൊ വിശ്വാസത്തിന് ചിലപ്പോ ചിലരെ സഹായിക്കാൻ കഴിയും. അതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ അതിനെ നെഗേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണ്ട. അത് എല്ലാ വിശ്വാസങ്ങൾക്കും അങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ ഒരിക്കൽ എന്റെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഒരു സർജൻ തന്നെ പറഞ്ഞ, വെല്ലൂരിലെ ഒരു സർജൻ പറഞ്ഞ കഥയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ഓരോ സർജറി, മേജർ സർജറി ഈസ് എ വെരി റെപ്യൂട്ടഡ് സർജൻ, ഓരോ സർജറി ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴും അദ്ദേഹം പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചിട്ടേ ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു, ഇത്രയും സർജറി നന്നായിട്ട് അറിയുന്ന സാർ എന്തിനാണ് പ്രാർത്ഥിക്കുന്നത് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞത്, ഒന്ന് പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചു കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഐ ഫീൽ മോർ കോൺഫിഡന്റ് മൈസെൽഫ്. അത് അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ ഒരു വിശ്വാസമാണ്. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചാൽ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് കിട്ടുന്ന ആളിനെ നമ്മൾ ഒരിക്കലും തള്ളി പറയരുത്. ലെറ്റ് ഹിം പ്രേ. എനിക്ക് ചിലപ്പോൾ കിട്ടിക്കൊള്ളണമെന്നില്ല, ബിക്കോസ് ഐ ഡോണ്ട് ബിലീവ് ഇൻ ഇറ്റ്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് പ്രാർത്ഥനയിൽ കൂടി എന്തെങ്കിലും എക്സ്ട്രാ എനർജി കിട്ടുമെന്ന് ഞാൻ വിശ്വസിക്കാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് എനിക്കത് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരുന്നില്ല എന്ന് മാത്രം. അപ്പൊ ഇത് എല്ലാ ബിലീഫ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ പ്ലസ് പോയിന്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട്.
Years back there was a person in Madras. He was a station master. എവിടെ പാമ്പ് കടിച്ചാലും ബൈക്ക് ടെലഗ്രാം ചെയ്താൽ ശരിയാകുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അയാളെ പോയിസൺ കിങ് എന്നാണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നത്. നിങ്ങളാരും കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്നറിയില്ല. ഈ 1940s 50s ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന പോയിസൺ കിങ്. ഒരു കാര്യം നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാം, സയൻസ് വെദർ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് accurate or not, it is changing. Science is changing. ഓരോ പണ്ടത്തെ തിയറി ഒക്കെ മാറുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇന്നത്തെ തിയറി അല്ല നാളെ. There may be addition or moderation or deletion. So science is not an absolute truth we should understand. It is as it is true. For the moment it is true. It may not be so for next moment. So you should appreciate the influence of time. So that you cannot do anything, but you should accept that science also will be changing as the person changes. So this is because no science can be 100% true. Then you should have got the results exactly as predicted. Now you correct it by introducing so many correction factors. Engineering is full of correction factors. First, starting with the factor of safety, it's only correct because we don't have a full labeled knowledge. There is a portion which is in the unknown domain. So you discount it and correct it by an approximate correction factor, which may be 99% or 90%. So that concept should also be considered while evaluating all these things. Okay, be tolerant, accept it. If it is mistake, you prove it as a mistake or discard it. Nobody insists that you should believe it. Nobody says that you should believe it. It is all up to the person whose mind is actually the master. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So I think it's close to be 2 hours of our talk, and I think every week we are getting good interaction in our sessions. These Tech Talk sessions kind of, after the 1 hour of session, we are having half an hour to 45 minutes of interactions in each session. I think that is the most interesting part of our Tech Talk series. And coming weeks also, I hope we will have some interesting topics to discuss, and very learned people who would come over to our session and even voice their views also. So thank you, Panikar sir. Thank you, Srinivasan sir, for your inputs. And I think, Mahadevan sir, we can wind up. And thank you very much for this wonderful session.
Yeah.
And you have actually triggered the talk. I think because of that, we could listen to a few views from Panikar sir and from Srinivasan sir also. And similarly, in the coming days also, we want you to pick up topics like this so that we can bring in rational thoughts from everybody. And I also thank all the participants for coming over and being a part of it. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night to all.